Hi, today we're talking about reacting to yourself versus responding to yourself. And this is a key shift that needs to be made in order to resolve symptoms of anxiety, depression, and complex PTSD. And so this is super, super important. And I've been talking recently about layering strategies, layering, doing one exercise, but layering the meeting of different needs that we have in order to heal complex PTSD. And this is one of those things. This is like one of the micro things that needs to shift. This is how we really change and right your relationship with yourself, and by really focusing on creating this shift to get you out of reaction and into response. This is not a head thing. I do not want you nor any of my clients to think you're going to go ahead and just say, okay, wait, hold up, I'm going to be in response to myself and not in reaction to myself. This problem, this issue is so complex that you will not get there from that direction. And so there is a brain process for this, for getting your brain to shift into being responsive to you and not in reaction to you anymore. And I want you to do that because it's going to go deeper, it's going to go broader, and it's going to keep getting better and better and better with time. Because if we're practicing this in your inner world, your brain is learning how to do it. Anything that brains are practicing, they get better and better and better at, as long as they have the right support. And so it's worth putting some time in to retrain, reteach, and guide and support your brain to walk through its process for this, for shifting out of reacting to yourself and into responding to yourself. And there's a lot of awesome things that come from this, including the end of self-sabotage. Self-love comes from this, self-confidence, integrity, that internal interwovenness, wholeness comes from this, and really ending that adversarial relationship with yourself that keeps us divided and conquered. So, and this is really nice as well because this is also how we resolve symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress, which are reactions to things. Okay, so I start people off with this in the absolute beginning because I want that practice happening in the beginning. Usually they're not really aware of what we're doing because we're working on going after symptoms, but I know I'm watching their brain. I'm like, let's shift this to response. And so, but I want you to know, because I want you to be able to look forward to this. I want you to be able to see this. Also, this is the type of stuff I'm teaching. I'm empowering you with my free program, Interventions for Inner World Transformation. And so once you get your brain shifting, you get an intervention that your survival system will shift with, all of a sudden you can walk your brain through this process over and over and over, and you can actually shift your brain out of reaction mode into response mode, and awesome things are going to happen. Okay, so I want to dive in, but let me introduce myself. I'm Rachel McLeod. I'm a mental health therapist and an emotional wellness coach, and I specialize in helping people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. And and I really specialize in complex PTSD recovery, which also includes resolving symptoms of anxiety and depression. So that's me. That's what I'm doing. And the brain has a beautiful process for all of these things. That process can get stopped or blocked. And so it will not be able to accomplish for you all the amazing things it could be doing, all the healing, all the symptom resolution, all the growth, all the maturation and mastery. It can't do that if this process is stopped and blocked. And so we need to get that process up and running. And that's we use specific interventions for this, because we got to work with the part of the brain that blocks this process and can shut this process down for a lifetime, and in many areas or just in specific areas for you. And we want to get in those spots and say, hey, let this healing happen. And so that part of the brain is very different than what we are used to working with in traditional talk therapies. This part of the brain is listening to the body. And so we're actually sending safety signals through the body as we're doing a lot of this work, so that that part of the brain will respond to the safety and allow the healing functions to turn back on. the process for resolving symptoms can now be used and can function optimally, and your brain can resolve all of this for you. And that's what I want. I don't want you to fix this because you can't. Let's just cut to the chase there. But your brain can, and that's its job. And I want that player off the bench and into the game in your life so that you're getting the benefits of what your brain can do for you. It makes this thing so much easier. And there's a lot of work to do, and it's designed to do this, and it can even do this very quickly because it's an electrical process. And how fast does electricity move, right? A lot faster than you and I. So we want this part of the brain to get in there and work. So we need to support it. All right. So, so this is a key shift that we want to make. And when you're reacting to yourself, this is not a thoughtful process. This is not something that is governed by your executive functioning. The reactions are governed by your survival system, which includes your reptilian brain, that part of the brain. So your response, like your reptile responses or your primate responses, your instincts, and also your programming from generations in the past. So some of the things that we'll do in that part of the brain as stuff that our grandparents would do, our great grandparents would do, we're none the wiser. We think it's us because it's us, but it's actually working from a part of the brain that's not your thinking center. It's not your reasoning. It's not your skill set. It's not your way of being. It's not your problem solver. It's your reactor. And so that creates all kinds of challenges. And then you're like, I want to stop reacting. And you can't make that stop because that part of the brain is designed to override us, to keep us safe. And so it gets to. And so we really want to start making friends with that part of the brain and say, hey, and influence it. Because if we don't talk to it in its actual language, it will not listen. And off we go into reactions, and you're like, I am reacting. The more therapy you do, the more you realize you're reacting, and you can see it, but you can't make any shifts. And so this is why we want to see it and shift it. See it and shift it, see it and shift it. Okay. So the part of your brain that's in response to you is thoughtful, is sorting the data, is considering this from multiple perspectives of you, your mind, your body, your goals. It's taking all of you into consideration. It's good at that. This part of the brain can see things from multiple perspectives. Your survival system cannot. It sees things through the lens of I need to survive, and I need as many of my people to survive with me as possible. That's not a lot of reasoning, right? And it's not very many perspectives. So it's not necessarily going to take into the perspective of your body. So it's not even going to be responding to your body. Your body might be wanting to do this other thing or needing this other kind of support, but your reactions are driving you over here and you're abandoning the body. This part of the brain can't take into consideration your thoughts and your feelings and your goals. So you're going to react and do things, but they're not going to consider your goals. That's how we get self-sabotage. We're doing things, but they are not inclusive of reaching our goals. Our response parts of the brain, our executive functioning, they're thinking about the goals. They're thinking about your relatives. They're thinking about your children. They're thinking about the long-term impact. They're putting this all together and they're stirring a really big pot of ingredients because they're inclusive. Well, what about this and what about that? And well, how are we going to meet that need? And let's think about this and let's go consult the stomach. And this is happening neurologically. This is how we're designed. This part of our brain that's in response to us is reading the data from all parts of us. And we want that response. Now, what we also want is we want to, like, as you go throughout your day, if you've got complex PTSD, how much of that is spent reacting to your day, right? A lot. And what we want to start shifting it over to responding. And in the beginning, we only have so much working memory. We just need a couple of them to shift over. And that's what we're doing in any way you work with me, this is what we're doing. The free program, this is what we're doing. The 8-week course, this is what we're doing, and we're doing it in greater and greater numbers in the free course, in the 8-week program, because I'm teaching you with pretty advanced strategies. And so pretty soon we're grabbing all this stuff and getting it moved over, and so we can build, because we're layering strategies and we're providing quite a bit of support that we can really get more and more complex. But in the beginning, when we're just starting to support our brain to shift out of reaction and into response, and processing and learning and considering and turning all that beautiful brain function on, in the beginning, it's a lot of work. It feels, and you're like, I don't know if I'm getting anywhere, but you are. I've done this with a lot of people, and the brain is learning the path from reaction to response. That's important. That's one of the things we're layering in here. The brain is learning to, I prefer this over here. The brain is learning all kinds of things. Like if I go from here to here, not only can I get the survival responses, and maybe I might need them later, but I can also get this thing that I've been practicing over here, or this thing I read in this book. I could put them together, and this is my chance to try something new if I want to. So, and all of a sudden that happens. But what also is happening here, as we're making this shift, is that we're also learning that if we actually get our body information up here, and our desires and our grievances and our judgments and our criticisms, if we can actually get them to the top of the brain, it is actually very much wanting to be in response to us. And it says, oh, you feel that way about it? Oh, you hate yourself when we do that? Oh, yeah, this bores you to tears? Okay, I didn't know. Yeah, because the top of the brain learns these things by receiving and processing what's going on in your body and through your senses. So this is your brain's opportunity to learn all about you. And then guess what? It's designed to be in response to you. And you will notice this. You will notice that your brain is in response to you. This is addictive. This is like, I don't want to say some words, but I want to use some drug names up in here. But it's addictive because all of a sudden there's this entity called a mind, brain, body system that it's actually now responding to you, and it's actually giving you solutions and suggestions that are good. And then you're like, what is this? And then you're playing this little fun game like, what happens if I tell you this, brain? And then you see that moment, or a day later, or a week later, all of a sudden you're showing up different in that situation. And you're like, you're making the associations. Hold up. If I tell you what I like, what I don't like, all these things, or if I just sit with a moment in response to the tightness in my chest, and I'm going to talk about this here in a second because it's not an idea. There's a practice of this. I want you to practice this. If I sit in response to this thing here, all of a sudden it releases and goes away. And then I get all these epiphanies and insights. That's a fun game. Now we're playing the healing game. Now we're playing the, what awesome thing is my brain going to do with this thing? That's the game we're playing. And this is huge, because now we're training the brain we're training ourselves to hold up, this racing heart that I'm having right now, or this on the verge of a panic attack sensation I'm having, is actually something that I could just sit with and process a little bit. And it means things. It means things about me. It means things about how I respond to the world. I want my brain to hear all about this. And I know if I keep shifting into reaction mode, I'm going to miss this opportunity to gather this information about myself. And so we're going to hang on to that moment and process as much as we can. And we might lose the battle at the end because it's just too much, and we end up over here needing to distract or avoid or having a panic attack or whatever. But we're going to get some of it processed. And then as we come out of the panic attack, all of a sudden we're noticing insights, epiphanies, new ways of being. And then next time we go into that situation where that panic attack is coming up on us again, we notice that we can hold that space a little bit longer, maybe even fully this time, and process more of what is that? I'm going to tell you, it's stuff. It's past memories. It's stuck emotional distress. It's emotions your brain has never really succeeded in learning how to process. So it hasn't practiced processing panic, so it's not very good at it. So now it's getting chances to learn how to process panic so that the energy moves through you more seamlessly without causing fireworks of panic attacks. There's a ton of amazing things that are happening here that are really, really powerful. And that serve as foundational weaving interconnections that are going to be foundational for that your brain is going to be able to build your health and wellness on. Also, when you are in response to yourself, this is how you learn to be in response to the world and not reactive to the world. When we shift you out of reaction to yourself and into responsiveness, we're building all your responsive skills, being responsive, and then you can apply those same skills and start practicing those in the outer world. And it's more powerful out here. And the next thing you know, you're hearing feedback from others like, wow, you're really responding to me. This is huge if you have a history of complex PTSD and you have relational trauma in early childhood where people were actually not in response to you. You don't even know about this. That's why I don't want to talk about it a ton. I want you to experience it because that's where the yummy comes in. You're like, this is what I've been looking for. And who knew I could be in response to myself? It feels just as good now. In childhood, we needed it to come from our family. We needed it to come from our parents. That's the biological, neurological design. And then when we leave that into adulthood, now we're designed to meet our own need. And that's wonderful because sometimes our parents don't heal and they will never meet this need. Sometimes our parents have passed away and we will still need to learn how to be in response to ourselves. And guess what? If you're one of those parents that was not in response to your children, should you heal and be in response to them, your children are going to fall to the ground. They're going to be like, what is this? And they're going to love it. And you're going to create a ton of healing, even if you've got decades or even a half a century of not being in response to your children but being reactive to them. All of a sudden you're in response to them and they're on a neurological level. They will be lighting and up and wiring healing and wellness in that they've been longing for a lifetime. This never loses importance. This skill never loses importance. It is foundational. It is part of thriving. It is the basic shift out of survival mode, out of reactivity and into responding and actually becoming present with something. And yes, in the beginning, your ability to be present with an emotion in your body is like a nanosecond. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can create so much healing with that nanosecond. And the next time you get 2 nanoseconds, and then you get to double it. I think you get to put your chips in, and all of a sudden you get to process 4 nanoseconds. And then we know the math on that. It becomes a lot of money really fast. Money. Oh, maybe it becomes a lot of money really fast. I remember this from a math class, and they'd say if you get a compounding interest with dollars. Anyway, I'm off track. Okay, so this is really, really, really important. Okay, how we're going to practice this is processing. And depending on how much distress you've got going on presently, how impacted you are by survival mode presently, if you're under full survival mode, we just want you to start processing. I want you to grab some of these interventions and just start using them. If you use them for about 2 hours a day, and I'm giving you a lot because most of your day is in survival mode, and that's not how it's supposed to be. So we need to work in here and get your brain over in processing mode. And so we need to be over here. And some people don't have the energy for this. It's a real thing. So you get as much time as you can. We want to pull the brain over to processing and to response and rest and digest. Even if we're just working with nanoseconds, it matters. Once we get a baseline of that, then we want to start really observing what's going on. What can you observe that's going on in your inner world? And so we'll start playing observation games. And I teach this, I begin exercises with this in my program, Inner World Transformation. And there's lots of ways to play this game with yourself, but you're observing yourself. In the beginning of observing yourself with this, it is likely that you're going to find and you're going to observe a ton of brain trash, pain, and dysfunction. because there's a backup in your system, and this is also the mind body system's way of digesting emotions, emotional experiences, somatic distress, sensory data. This is its way of doing that, and also releasing it, like taking it to the dump and to the letting it become compost and be recycled. And so if that process isn't working, there's a lot of unresolved material in your inner world. And so, and guess what? That's what we're observing, and that's great. Wonderful. It's great that you can see that. Let's get it processed. We're gonna take it by the arm and say, "Hi, dysfunction. Let's just walk through the healing pathways. I'm gonna drop you off the front of the brain. You can talk with them and sort it out with those guys. And those guys are experts at this. Once you get that little dysfunction past the survival system, they're like, "Oh my goodness, tell us all about you." And they're sitting there in their clips and they're telling all this dysfunction. "Oh yes, and how'd you come about?" And they're reading all that data, and they're just like, "Oh, this is great. We've been looking for you. I can't believe we get to interview you." And they're going off, and then they're all sitting back like, "Ah, look what we learned about ourselves. We thought this, but it's actually that. And this is an old thing. This doesn't even match us. We have these skills. We've been practicing this." And they work together, and they immediately start learning, "Oh, we had this wrong. Let's rewire that. Oh, this could be better. Let's wire this to this and that and this and that. Good. Okay. And that skill set, let's bring the skills up to the front, please, and let's wire that in over here with this." And instantly transformation begins happening. So in the beginning, I know it's not cool that we're going to find all this trash, but that's what happens if you have a house and you never take the garbage out. There's a lot of trash in there. Hello. Right? So, and that's not, we're winning. And yes, if we walk in and you're full of grief in the beginning, that's what we're observing. We're observing what is actually here. If there's grief, that's what we're doing. If there's shame, that's what we're observing. We're going to escort that shame right there through the healing pathways. Powerful. To process shame is a massive victory, and it's easy to process, it's just really painful. So it's hard to get a hold of. It's hard to want to get a hold of the shame. But yeah, so we're looking for what we might find as judgments, judgments about ourselves or others, criticisms. What you will find as you get this stuff processed is these never got to fulfill their destiny in your world. Brains convert judgments into discernment and wisdom and all these things. And as you see it becoming those things, you start to lose your fear of judgment. You start to lose your fear of the stuff. You're just like, "Oh, it's just half baked. Let's take it through the processor a couple more times." And all of a sudden you start to be like, "Wow, that was really good. I'm discerning. Look at me. My discernment is coming on. I'm becoming more and more discerning." And the flavor of you as you present in your relationship is going to be less and less judgmental, less and less critical, because those things are actually being used in a very healthy way in your mind body system. And when judgment and criticism get utilized fully by the brain and converted, they turn into kindness and assertiveness and healthy boundaries. Who doesn't love that? But you need the raw ingredients, which is judgment, criticism, and all those jazzes, to get you some assertiveness, kindness, and all those things. So, but you start to make these connections. You start to say, like, I'll ask a client, "So what are you learning about your anger?" Because anger, naughty thing. No, anger. They're like, "This will open doors for me in my relationships of health and wellness." Yeah. Who knew? Your brain. Okay. So, and me, because I'm nosy and I've been watching. So, but I can tell people this, but when you see it for yourself, when you see yourself becoming more kind, more assertive, more boundaried, it's freaking exciting. And it's like, who is even doing this? Your brain. Guess what? Your brain could do this the whole time. It just needed very specific support that you didn't get in early childhood, so you didn't know how to do it or how to replicate it. And no, we're going to do it now. And not only are we going to do it now, we're going to do it a lot, because we need to get this backlog resolved and get you in response to yourself. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to swoop into the inner world, maybe for nanoseconds. Grab up whatever we find, escort it through the healing pathways. That's all we're doing. And we're just doing reps of this, like push-ups. 1, 2, we're not getting too involved. We don't know enough. It has to process. And then we're going to have some stuff to play with after the brain starts chatting with us. Like, "Hey, did you know that this is good? We've been looking for this stuff. Did you know that?" And then your body says, "Oh, I feel so much better. I'm so glad I got that off my chest." Oh, my stomach's better. That you're going to hear this feedback from yourself. And then you're going to be in response to yourself as you see how your mind body system works. Okay? Um, and we're not going to be worried if all the trash comes up or some of the trash are like, gosh, it's a mess in there. Yeah, it is. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. And in some of these bad behaviors we have, because we actually have to live with unprocessed emotion and it just flies out of us. As it gets processed, we learn, wow, what I was really trying to accomplish was this. Was my real intention. And then we say, oh, I really thought I was a bad person this whole time. Actually, I just wasn't processing. I'm actually pretty trustworthy and my intentions are good. I just didn't know how to get to realize my intentions or to get my needs met in a way that would also be supportive of other people as well. Now that I'm processing, I can see all these other perspectives. Yes, that's what we're doing here. Um, the more we practice this, the more we practice guiding the brain out of reactivity, out of survival mode, out of fight, flight, freeze, or faint, and into rest, digest, process, healing mode, response, being in response to these things. The more we do that, pretty soon we're going to learn all these things, right? That's what we're going to learn, and we're writing our relationship with ourselves. We're having new experiences of self-love with ourselves, and we're watching all this stuff that was garbage turn into gold and high function and higher function, better and better relationships, more deep inner security, internal senses of security, needing less external reassurance. All that stuff is just nice icing on the top. Um, but what we're also doing here is we're building a new baseline of being in response to ourself. We're shifting that baseline. Before, maybe it was super low. And after we do a certain number of reps, quite a bit of work, we're going to move it up to here. We're going to move it up to here. We're going to move it up to here. You can do this all the way till you're a Buddha and you're like, you're sitting under the tree, calm and relaxed. You're like, I don't know how that goes. Um, but you can master these things. And I just want you to have a functional level of them so that you can live your life and thrive. That's my goal is for you. You can take this as far as you want to, but really, can you meet your children and be in response to them? Can you be in response to your needs when you're waking up in the morning? Can you have a conflict with your partner and be in response to your needs still, or do you self-abandon and just start people pleasing, fighting, flighting, freezing? Can you be in response to what's going on in you? That's what I want to know. And if you can't, the answer is yes, great. Now we're like, how can we do it faster? Can we get better? Can we get more seamless? Can we make it like, oh my gosh, this is your skill set? Oh, you must be gifted. No, I built this myself. Me and my brain got in the shop and we built this, and it looks like we've been doing this our whole life. That's what I want for you. And then you can take it from there and do what you want with it. But this is key. This is a massive key to unlocking so many of your things. It's a very small step. It's a very important step to learn how to be in response to your fears, to learn how to be in response instead of reacting to your fears, to learn how to be in response to your self-hatred, to response to your inner criticism, be in response to these parts of you that are showing up, to be in response to your dreams and your desires. That's where we're going. That's what we want to build. And there's a neurological and a neuroplasticity deal here that we need to help your brain create and that we get to. And yes, we're going to do some weird things, like we're going to tap on different points. We're going to breathe. We're going to do lots of the things. But that's really because we're working at that different part of the brain. So I hope you're inspired by this. I wanted you to see one of these little micro things, hoping that it would make you feel like this is more accessible. And also, as you're doing this work, that you have another a touch point to touch on, and that a new win to create. Like, okay, yeah, there's judgment in here. Gosh, I'm so judgmental. But oh, look, that's exactly what I'm supposed to be processing right now, my judgments. I do start places with people with judgment work, right? And some people come in and that's all that their brain wants to do and talk about. Great. Let's get that stuff processed. And there's no shame in this dysfunction when that dysfunction is really going to become your next levels of health and wellness, the fuel for your brain to create the health and wellness that you're looking for. It's phenomenal. And then you're not feeling like I can't take myself anywhere. I can't trust myself. You're actually feeling like, wow, my brain's doing a really good job. Maybe I could have a friend. Maybe I could take this next step in my business. Maybe I could have people over. They're starting to take risks because, and then pretty soon that goes well. And maybe you have to trial a little bit and build. Ooh, I still have to build a couple more things. I went into reaction like 3 times here. Okay, great. Pull it back into the shop. Let's work that out too. And then as that gets resolved, your brain's going to be like, let's run the program. And then it's going to be telling you, hey, let's go have people over again. Hey, let's try that business endeavor again. Hey. And so pretty soon you're going to be out here doing the things and your brain's going to get to review. Oh, we were only in reaction like for a second there and then we got it together. Look at us. We're doing it, right? You got little evaluators in there. We want to use them. We want them in response to you, which means we have to facilitate that mind-body communication. Obviously, I love this topic. I could keep talking about this till the cows come home, whatever that means. But I want to get you these interventions in your hand. I invite you to sign up for my free program, Interventions for Inner World Transformation, and trial those, see if they work for you. If they don't, throw them out. There's so many interventions. You just need one that is effective in shifting your brain out of survival mode into processing. These ones have no known side effects, and they're the most effective, the easiest to learn, and with my clients, about 99% of them will be able to find a matching intervention with these 3. So I'm confident that one of them is going to work for you. So try those out. And if you find a matching one and you're like, what else can my brain do? Then I invite you to really consider my program, Inner World Transformation, and enroll in that and get started. If you're somebody who's more of a one-on-one or you want to work with me in a small group, I have those opportunities available as well. And you can find those on my website. And if you're just like, I don't know. My mind is a little blown here. I like what you're talking about. I don't know what to do. I've done a lot of work. I don't know where I'm at. This might be a great time for a consultation with me. I do offer a one-time one-on-one consultation, personalized consultation, and you can find out more information about that as well on my website. And I will play with some interventions. I'll look at what your brain is doing, what it's trying to do, what it wants to do, and I'll give you some insight into what your brain is doing, how it communicates with you, things I'm observing, and some really helpful next steps for you so that you have some direction and that you can understand what the process might look like for you from more of the big picture and how to get to thriving. So wonderful connecting with you. I'll see you all later. Bye.